Solving multi-step equations with fractions. Let's take a look at this one right here. The general steps for solving these equations are going to be very similar to solving multi-step equations without fractions, except that we're going to look at a couple little tricks that will get us through a little bit easier. We could just use the same old rules that we use when solving other multi-step equations, but there's a couple special things that we can do with fractions to make this even easier for us. Let's take a look at this one right here. We have 1/4 x plus 3 equals 2. We want to get rid of that plus 3 first, so we're going to subtract 3 from both sides of our equation. Bring down what's left. 1/4 x. The 3's cancel out. And then we have 2 minus 3, which is -1. Now, if this was just 4x, for example, we would divide by 4 because it's being multiplied. Well, since it's a fraction, if we divide by a fraction, remember dividing by fractions, then we have to do keep, change, flip, and we end up flipping it anyway and multiplying. So let's just go right there. We can multiply by the flip of this, and it will cancel out what's there being multiplied. So if we multiply by 4/1, the 4's cancel, the 1's cancel, or if we looked at it as 4 times 1 is 4, 1 times 4 is 4, 4 divided by 4 is 1. So we're just left with 1x, which is what we want. We multiplied by 4/1 on that side, we have to do the same on this side. This stuff, like I said, all cancels out. We bring down what we have left. X equals. Now, to multiply a fraction by a whole number, we can put this over 1, -1/1, multiply straight across on the top and the bottom. -1 times 4 is -4. 1 times 1 is 1. So we have -4/1, which is also equal to just -4. Let's take a look at a second one. Here we have 1/2 times the quantity k minus 8. We have those parentheses, and when we see parentheses like that, immediately into our head should pop the distributive property. Our first step is going to be to multiply through each piece by 1/2. Or we could, if we wanted to, multiply, because this 1/2 is being multiplied by k minus 8, we could just multiply by the flip right away and get rid of that. Let's do it both ways and show how it works out. Let's start with distributing it through. So if we distribute the 1/2 through, we're going to take 1/2 times k, gives us 1/2 k. 1/2 times minus 8, that gives us, we could put that over 1, multiply across, we have -8/2, or -4, equals 6. Now we're in a similar situation to what we were in up here. Our first step to get this taken care of is going to be to get rid of that -4. To do that, we do the opposite, so +4, both sides, bring down what we've got, 1/2 k equals 10. Then to get rid of that 1/2, we're going to multiply by the flip. So we multiply by 2/1, multiply by 2/1. This all cancels. We're left with k equals, can put this over 1 if we'd like. 10 times 2 is 20. 20/1 is just 20. Let's do that same problem, except multiplying by the flip right away rather than distributing it through. So if we have 1/2 times k minus 8 equals 6, then we're going to multiply by that flip right away. Multiply by 2/1 on both sides. These cancel out because they're just opposites. If we multiply, we're just left with 1. Then we get k minus 8 equals, can put this over 1, 6 times 2 is 12. Then we just have that -8 to get rid of. To do that, we're going to add 8 on both sides, and we get k equals 20. Same deal. Okay, so if we're given something where we could possibly distribute, we can do that, or we can right away multiply by that flip to get rid of that fraction. Let's take a look at some others that have more fractions going on in the equation that we're maybe not going to want to work with all those fractions. Let's go up here. 1/2 d plus 2 equals 3/4. That's a lot of fractions going on, and if I got rid of this plus 2, I would subtract 2, and then I get 3/4 minus 2. Yuck. I have to work with those fractions. I don't want to do that. Let's get rid of all the fractions from this problem. To do that, we're going to multiply by the LCM of the denominators. So the least common multiple of the denominators, we have 2 and 4. Well, the least common multiple of 2 and 4 is 4. So what we're going to do is multiply each piece in the equation by 4. So multiply this by 4, multiply this by 4, and multiply this by 4. Then we can make that over 1. 4 times 1 is 4. 1 times 2 is 2. So 4 over 2. 4 divided by 2 is just 2. D. Then we have 4 times 2 is 8. Equals, here we have 4 over 1 again. Multiply across. 3 times 4 is 12. 4 times 1 is 4. 12 divided by 4 is just 3. Now I have an equation that doesn't have any fractions in it anymore. Whew, I like it. Much easier to deal with than all those silly fractions. Get rid of that plus 8. Do the opposite. Minus 8. Both sides. Bring it down. We have 2d equals 3 minus 8 is negative 5. Then we're going to divide by 2 to get rid of that being multiplied by 2 there. Bring it down. We have d equals, now, negative 5 over 2. We can't divide that. It's not going to give us an even number. But what we can do, we have a couple options. We can leave it as an improper fraction, so just negative 5 over 2. Or we can convert that into a mixed number, which would be 2 and negative 2, and 1/2. Let's take a look at the last one here. Negative 3/4 x plus 1/4 equals 1/2. Again, a lot of fractions going on. I'm not a huge fan of fractions. Let's get rid of those. And in this case, we've got the 4's and the 2. Well, the LCM of those denominators is again 4. So we're going to multiply each piece through by 4. Multiply that by 4, multiply that by 4, multiply that by 4. If we multiply by the same thing that's underneath the fraction, what's going to happen is it's basically going to cancel out. So the 4's go away, because if we multiplied it, we'd have 12 over 4. 12 divided by 4 is 3. So we see our 3 right there. This negative, don't lose it. So we bring this down, and we have negative 3x. Here we have another 4 with a 4 on the bottom, and we end up with plus 1. And then right here, put this over 1, multiply across. 1 times 4 is 4, 2 times 1 is 2, 4 divided by 2 is 2. Then we want to get this x all by itself, so get rid of the plus 1 first by subtracting 1. Both sides of our equation, remember, keep that balance. We have to do the same thing on both sides. Bring down what's left. Those cancel out. Equals 2 minus 1 is 1. Last step. Divide by 3. Divide by 3. These cancel. We're left with x equals negative 1/3. And remember, this negative can be written in front of the fraction, on the bottom with the bottom number, or on the top. It all means the same thing. Couple things to do when we have equations involving fractions. One, if it's being multiplied by something here and there's just 1, we can multiply by the reciprocal, the flip, and that'll cancel it out. Remember to do that on both sides of the equation. If we have the distributive property, we can do the same thing because this is just being multiplied. So multiply by the flip, that gets rid of it, or you can distribute it through. Then over here, when we have multiple fractions in the same problem, we want to get rid of those. We multiply by the least common multiple of the denominators. That'll cancel out the fractions, give us nice whole numbers to be working with, and then we go ahead and finish up solving our problems.